I want to talk about radicalism for just a few moments. Pastor Tim Keller, before he died, he actually would reach out to me on occasion and ask me to pray for certain people. And before he died, he called, and it was our last conversation, and he had a list of mutual friends that he wanted me to pray for, and just to keep praying for them after he was gone. And we had a couple of conversations related to this topic, and for a couple of people that he asked me to pray for, who I would say they were better friends of his than I was friends with him. They interact with him on a much more regular basis. But we shared a concern, and he very much had it, that given the political climate of the day, that his concern was that a couple of these people were allowing their critics and the people who hated them to radicalize them. And it is a real danger that someone hates you so much, is so nasty to you, is awful to you, is regularly hostile to you, that their hatred of you begins to radicalize you, and you begin to change your views and values because of the hostility of other people. And you can understand how easy this can be to do when you see a bunch of people who are treating you horribly, even though you otherwise generally agree with them on stuff. And you think, well, if they agree with this stuff, maybe this stuff is wrong. Maybe if these are the people who claim to be standard bearers for these things I believe must be wrong. And you allow people, and don't say this can't happen to you. I see it happen all the time in politics, where I see liberals becoming conservative because they're not woke enough. I see conservatives becoming liberals because they're not woke enough. Woke right and woke left. And in my conversation with Tim, it was a couple of people who they were conservatives, but the Trump supporters treated them so horribly, so nasty, that they were letting the hatred of their critics radicalize them against their critics. And it had everything to do with how people were treating them that was changing their minds. And we see this more and more in society today, where people they will change their views based on who's on the other side. Jennifer Rubin, the dimwit who used to be at the Washington Post, is one of the best examples of this. Jennifer Rubin she tried to get me fired when I was at CNN because I explained one time when she's very hard to pin down on issues. I said, you got to think of her more as Likud. And this was a friend of mine who is Jewish. And Jennifer Rubin is Jewish. He pointed this out, that her views align way more with Israeli politics at the time. And if you want to understand her, you need to understand that view. She's very socially liberal, but she's very pro-Israel, very defensive of Israel, and aligned with the Republican Party over Israeli and Jewish issues. Until Donald Trump became president, Jen Rubin had for a long time advocated moving the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And the moment Donald Trump was the one who did it, Jennifer Rubin, surprise, was opposed to it. And essentially over her entire career, every position she staked out in bright lines, if Donald Trump sided with her on the issue, she rejected it. She was radicalized by her critics. She was radicalized by the other side. She allowed the other side to stake out positions, and she then went in the opposite direction. She didn't like them, therefore she couldn't take that position. A strongly held position she had for years, moving the American embassy to Jerusalem. Donald Trump actually gets done what she wants done. She's like, this is a terrible idea. We should never move the American embassy to Jerusalem. And that's kind of a defining hallmark of Jennifer Rubin's career, is where Republicans are now is where she had been, but because they're there now, she's on the opposite side. You see this all the time. Think about Drag Queen Story Hour. Conservatives raised a fuss about certain urban areas of the country having drag queens go into libraries and do book time with kids.